Hello, this is Roland checking in to see how you're doing. Hope you're doing well. Today let's talk about emotions. Let's talk about emotions. Let me begin by saying that I get a lot of emails from people. People don't write letters like they used to, but they write emails, usually in the form of a prayer request. And typically I get emails from people who say they're lonely. Okay, lonely, unhappy, all alone. Um, or they say that often I get emails from people who say that they're having trouble, like they lost their job, they're going to lose their house or get kicked out of their apartment, and don't have any money, and they pray to God. Hear that a lot. Or people say something like, I don't know what God wants me to do. I don't know what His will is for me, what direction He wants me to go. Okay, and they say they pray, but they don't seem to get an answer. So there's a lot of things there, right? And those are good questions. Very worthy of prayer, incidentally. Very worthy of prayer. But now let's talk about I want to focus on the emotional part of it. The emotional part of it. Okay? So first let's start with the basics. The very, very basics. And that is that it's kind of all about people, isn't it? When you stop to think about it, it's all about people. And with God, it's all about people too. Like I've always said, I've said it 1,000 times, but I'll keep saying it because it makes the point. God doesn't care if you spill some ketchup on your pants. Okay? He doesn't care if you don't get the best deal on a used car. Or he doesn't care if you accidentally spend too much money on some item. He doesn't care if you forget to pay a bill. Okay? He doesn't seem to care about those things. What does he care about? He cares about if you become resentful, for example. If you resent someone or hate them. But let's just say resent. You have a grudge against someone. You're angry at someone. That's what he cares about. He doesn't want you to be angry. Doesn't want you to resent people. He's aware of the fact that people are sometimes confusing. Very confusing. They even admit it. Nowadays a lot of people admit it. No one ever said that before. 20, 30 years ago, no one ever said I'm confused. But now a lot of people do. I'm confused, they say. Well, a lot of people are confused. They do confusing things, and then they do bad things, and they do naughty things, and they make mistakes, and they're in error, and they are selfish. See? A lot of things like that, which you do too. But the point is, God doesn't want us to resent people. He doesn't want us to hate people. He doesn't want us to have a grudge against people. He doesn't want us to resent our parents. That's why in the Lord's Prayer it says, honor your father and your mother. Okay? What he means is to honor fatherhood, honor motherhood, honor the station, okay, which is very important, station of father or mother. And if your parents were good, then that's great, okay? Don't resent them. If your parents were not so good, which is often the case, or your parents were rotten, which is also often the case, then once again, don't resent them. Okay? Maybe see that they made mistakes. See that they made mistakes. You don't have to deny it and pretend they didn't. Or see that they weren't there, your dad wasn't there for you. Whatever needs to be seen, just see it. Just don't hate the person. See what I mean? Don't hate the person. Remember, see, this is very important. The human beings are very special things, aren't they? I think you've probably noticed that. You knew that when you were a little child. Human beings are not just monkeys or like monkeys or cats or kangaroos. Human beings have a soul. Human beings are created in the image and likeness of God. Okay? So when you see a person in front of you, even if they don't look so good, they're all messed up, they're doing something naughty, okay, and they're confused, you're still looking at a being, a metaphysical being, in a body, of course, created in the image and likeness of God. So don't hate them. Don't resent them. And understand this also, a lot of people are possessed. Okay, now, when I say that, I'm not trying to be overly dramatic. Okay, and I'm not trying to be scary. I'm just saying that they are. That's why they do sometimes really bad things. Okay, and why they do self-destructive things. There's something in them that is compelling them, okay, to do wrong things, foolish things, naughty things. They don't even realize, and and the other thing is that people are hypnotized. Okay, and I don't have time to go into it now. I have a new book, over 500 pages, brand new book. It's ready to be published. I really need to finish editing it and get it out because it's about hypnosis. But people are hypnotized. They've been hypnotized into doing foolish things. You know that's the case. How many times do you see a kid, nice little kid, loves his mommy and daddy, okay? Or a little girl loves her mommy and daddy. And then all of a sudden comes under the influence of some neighborhood good for nothing, okay? And before long, it's like you're the enemy. They're not your loving daughter anymore, your loving son anymore. Now they've gone over to the other side. Now that weird person, that good for nothing in the neighborhood, they think that person is great. And they look at you as if you were bad or the enemy. See? And they resent your interfering with their relationship with that person. Well, it's not good. That relationship with that person is not healthy. See? They're being led astray. They're actually hypnotized. See? Or they get caught up with the group. How many kids nowadays get caught up with the group? So you got the idea. So what you have to understand is at various levels, see, from all the way from just getting wrong advice to being taught the wrong thing, to being hypnotized, to being obsessed, okay, to being possessed, all the way. There's a continuum there, a spectrum. Okay, there's the spectrum. Okay, and so there is somewhere in that spectrum, and so what you're looking at is perhaps they're being compelled. They can't stop themselves, so don't hate them. Okay, realize that's a great thing to be able to see, because then it permits you not to hate them, and it permits you to think back on whoever did something to you when you were younger. See, even your father, if he wasn't there for you, or he refused to talk to you, or refused to see you, even now, or something, see, not good, something bad, see that there's something in him that's preventing him. Okay, something in him that's blocking, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, except don't hate him. Do not hate the person. That's the secret. And here's another tip for you, and that is that what is in them, operating through them, it wants you to hate the person. That's what it wants. It wants you to hate. Because if you hate the person, then it can get inside of you too. See? Okay? Not only that, but you're doing a disservice to the person, because what chance does that person ever have? See, you can't, of course you can't save people. You can't save people. Okay? But you can hold up the light, and you can not hate. See, all their life, what have they seen? They've seen people that hate them, and resent them, and judge them. That's all they've ever seen. And to come face to face with someone who doesn't hate them. See, maybe they hate you, but you don't hate back. See, that is a shock. See, when they were little children, they were shocked. Yes, shocked, traumatized. See, like PTSD. They were shocked by someone who hated them. parent, a mother who hated her husband and hated her kid because he reminded her of her husband, see? Or a dad who was cruel, or who was gone, who was absent, who walked out, who left and walked out and left the family. See, it's a shock to the little child, the shock of seeing hate, the shock of seeing lack of no love. Okay? Well, what would be the anti-shock? See, what could possibly bring a person back? It could be to encounter someone who doesn't hate them back, especially if it's a child, the adult child. See, who visits, comes back to the parents, say, when I was a little kid, you did me wrong, and you did this to me, and this to me, and this to me, and that to me, and I hated you for it, but I don't hate you anymore. I just want you to see what you did, know what you did, and admit it, and be sorry, and apologize. Okay? But without resentment, without hatred. See? So now they're faced with not only the truth, but coming from perhaps their son or daughter, adult son or daughter, but also the truth with love by not hating. See? We have the wrong idea of what love is. Love doesn't mean kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy, bringing flowers and chocolates. Love is very often not hating, not resenting. See? Love by not hating. Love by not resenting. Okay? So now you see, okay, so now we've I still haven't talked about emotions too much. But I want you to see there's a basis for all of our dysfunctional emotions that we have. See, the human being was meant to respond to its creator, to his or her creator. Okay? Within. And by remaining close to God, close to the creator, close and having a rapport with God. See, and responding to insight, to intuition. See, responding to principles that are revealed within, principles that you see, being patient with other people and honor, not hating people, and long-suffering and patience and truth. See, truth in all of its different manifestations. Responding to those with joy, with reverence, okay, and with fealty, with obedience. See, obedience is a response. That person then would be close to God, like Enoch, Elijah. See, people like that. It said they walked with God. Okay. So that thereby one's emotions, one's physical being, see, being subject to the soul, and the soul being subject to God, and loving God out of love. See, subject out of love. Then that body then would become immune to stress, would not be stressed. See, that body would not be called upon to have to react to outside temptation. Okay? Now, of course, if it's cold, and you might start shivering, and you put on your sweater and your jacket. Okay? If it's raining, then you dry yourself off, and or you come indoors, or get out your umbrella. You see what I mean? Things like, of course, there's that. But where our biggest emotional response is to temptation. We get excited about something naughty or something inappropriate. See? We get angry when somebody doesn't respect us or doesn't pay attention to us. See? We get negative feelings if they don't like us or love us, or see? Or when things aren't working out the way we want them to, the way our ego, the way we will them to, then we get frustrated. We get angry, which leads to frustration. Okay? And disappointment and bitterness. See? And then depression. Okay? Now, depression is either can be a lack of energy. Okay? Sometimes you're physical reasons for us not having energy. Or it could also be, you know, after having been goaded and prodded and challenged and teased. Everybody promises you, oh, once you got to get your degree. Once you get your degree, or once you get this job, or once you do this, or once you do that, it'll be so exciting. It'll be so great when you get this car. You'll feel so great. See, they're always building you up, and then when you get the car, when you get the piece of paper, the degree, so on, then nothing changes. And then you can see how there's, after every high comes a low. After every high comes a low. So that's why you're much better off to be on an even keel. And then when there's a low, what happens? When there's a low, then you resent. See, then you resent your circumstances. That's what people do. They resent. Now, a lot of people say, no, I don't. Yeah, but yes. Okay, people resent. That's natural. That's what the ego does. That's what we do until we learn better. Okay, so we resent our circumstances, and often we resent other people. Okay, so we resent our circumstances, then we resent others. Oh, he blocked me, and she wasn't fair to me, and she didn't give me a chance, and she went behind my back. And see, we blame other people, and then we blame God. See, and judge God. So here we are, these little creatures that we are. Here we are judging the Creator. See? Well, it's not a great idea, because it leads nowhere. Okay, it leads nowhere. It just puts up another barrier between you and God, which is not good. So if things aren't working out, then just see that they're not working out. But don't resent other people. Don't resent God, and don't resent yourself. See, then what we do is we turn the resentment. See, we're full of resentment. That's the ego. Resentment. So there's the resentment, and then we direct it in different directions. Finally, we direct it against yourself. We resent ourselves, which is not good either. Okay? So a lot of times, see, our ego, when you're a little child, it's natural to look forward to things. To Christmas, to your birthday party, to getting presents, to having an ice cream sundae, to going to a movie. That's perfectly natural. That we look forward to those things. And then sometimes, see, because we're little egos. That's the way we're born. That's what we inherit from Adam and Eve. Okay? And from your parents and your great-grandparents and all the way back to Adam and Eve. That's what you inherit, is a little ego that wants its own way, and when it doesn't get its way, then it tends to get angry. Okay? And but that's just natural. So little kids are cute little egos, and then they grow up to be naughty egos, and then if you're not careful, then you grow up to become a nasty ego. Okay? So the closer you can stay to the natural, in other words, to be just a natural ego, the better off you are, and not be corrupted. See, corrupting experience, promiscuous sex, drugs, forbidden experiences, and hate. Don't ever forget that hate is a forbidden experience. Remember, I said that human beings are created in the image and likeness of God, so we mustn't hate them. And remember, I said that God doesn't care if you spill some mayonnaise on your pants. It drops out of your sandwich on your pants or your skirt or your. See, he doesn't care about that at all. But he cares about he would like you not to hate, resent other people. Okay, so you're just so a little natural ego, and you grow up to be a big natural ego, and then at some point you begin to look for answers and cry out for answers, and you begin to see that. Then you begin to see that the things that once brought such natural delight when you were a little child, a butterfly, marshmallows, playing a game, whatever kind of game, Monopoly or whatever. Those things which brought such delight when you were a little child. Well, now you're getting older, and now you become other things. It's time to become to for other things as you become an adult. Now you become a parent, and then you enjoy watching your children take delight in things. You see what I mean? But you and they get emotional about things, but you not so much so anymore, or eventually not at all. Okay. So there is a transition then from childhood to adulthood, and then to advanced. What would be advanced adulthood? Spiritual, the spiritual side of life, beginning to walk more and more on the spiritual side of life. Okay, so where you begin to acquire wisdom, patience, long suffering, all these beautiful virtues, you begin to acquire those. Okay, and you begin to let go of the ego life. See, you let go of it, or you um, graciously let go of the things of youth. Okay, as we get older, we graciously let go of things of youth. But if you redouble your efforts to be like a little kid, where you have an adventure, well, then what? Then men divorce their wife and buy a motorcycle or a sports car and try to have a second teenagehood or something that doesn't work. See, because now you're beyond the teenage years, you're beyond childhood. See, so you have to always be moving forward, always growing. Okay, toward in a relationship with your Creator. Now, when you're young, maybe you don't think much about God or that sort of thing, but as you get older, you start to begin searching, and those people who search sincerely begin to find God. And the way you find Him, as you start to get older, is you begin to see that some of the things that you're doing, like resenting your husband, resenting your wife, that you resented your mom or your dad, or that you're impatient with your children, or that you're selfish. You just see that you're selfish. You see it in the light of reality, in the light of truth. But instead of resenting it, see, egos always resent. But instead of resenting it, you just see that it's true. Okay? Well, then seeing it is true then brings about a need for change. And that need for change, if it's sincere, is like a silent cry to God, okay, for Him to begin to change you. Okay, but now let's talk again. Let's refocus on emotions. So now, do you see how wanting things too much, okay, and then not getting them can lead to being unhappy? Or can you see how resenting someone, resenting other people? See, eventually we can begin to resent everybody. See, you resent your dad for not being there, and then before long you look at men and you see that all men are kind of the same. Most men are this, kind of the same, or at least they have that part of them, that selfish part, that animal part. See, that prideful nothingness part. So then you begin to resent all men. See, so now you're resenting all men. See, but you feel guilty for resenting all men. So what do then? You either try to be extra nice to people to make up for the guilt, or you turn the resentment on yourself. See, that's what egos do. They turn it on themselves. But the bottom line, where did it start? It started with resenting someone. Usually our father is where it first begins, and our mother, your poor unloved mother. Or see, her husband wasn't there for either. You're dead. See, he wasn't there for her. She resented him, or she resented her father. Resented men because she had been abused, taken advantage of by men, so she hated men underneath. And then your dad came along. Maybe he was a decent guy, but she could never see past the fact that he was a man. See, so she just gave him a hard time. See, endless hard time. And then things didn't work out so good, maybe. Okay? So now what you have to see is that resentment is at the base of so many of these secondary and tertiary emotions. It begins with resentment, then it becomes anger, and then anger becomes frustration, and frustration becomes a sense of hopelessness, and hopelessness becomes resentment, and See, resentment becomes bitterness. See? And you can even transfer these negative, very negative emotions. We're creatures of, the other thing you have to see is that we're creatures of love. I talk about that. I talked about that in a video I made a week or two ago. I wish you could find it. It'd be very good. But we're creatures of love in the image and likeness of God. And so if we hate or we resent, see, we're violating our own nature. See, that's why when you were a little child, it was such a shock when you saw somebody that was hateful, had hate. Okay? So you have to see then that undoubtedly your resentments go back to something that happened in the past, somebody you hated. Okay? And the resentment also sustains the negative thoughts. Why did she do that to me? Why did he do that to me? Why couldn't they have done this? Why did I do that? Or why did this have to happen? Or why? See, all these negative thoughts are sustained by emotion, the emotion of resentment. So if you could learn to watch for the resentment and let it pass, if you could learn to do that, it would have a wonderful effect on all kinds of things, because it's the root of everything that's wrong with you spiritually, emotionally, and then it even then begins to impact on your physical well-being. Resentment, okay? It's it's an awful negativity. Now, a lot of times we get hate it comes into us through other people. They hate, and we take on their hate. You've seen people that take on someone else's personality, haven't you? A son or a daughter to become just like his mother. Becomes just like his mother. Or the daughter becomes just like her mother. You see, you see that. You even see pets, where the dog begins to look like its owner, act like the owner. You even get the same diseases as the owner. Okay, well, so we take on, so now remember, if you don't resent other people, if you don't resent, and you remain close to that inner ground of good, okay, then the outside doesn't get in. See, it's like a force field. Not hating, not resenting, not judging, just observing. If something's not good, then see that it's not good, but just don't resent it. See, that is a very powerful protection. It's when you resent, it's when you hate, it's when you're angry at, see, and such emotions like that lets the outside in. See, lets negativity in, lets hate in, lets programming in. So what do you do then to seal yourself off from this negativity on the outside? Well, it would be good, excellent, if you could begin the little meditation that I have. Because in very short order, it teaches you how to do precisely that. To stand back and observe negative emotions and people, places, and objects without reacting, without getting pulled in, and without having it on the outside get into you. Put up a little distance. See? Then you can be what Christ said, in the world but not of the world. Okay? Then you begin to be you're more sealed from negativity. Like little tiny children. Have you seen sometimes little children are in their own little world? They play and they have fun. They come and they hug mommy and ask mommy a question, okay, and then they run off and they're back in their own little tiny world again. Okay? Well, see, that can if the child is shocked on the outside, then it can retreat from a natural distance to an unnatural distance. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about little children. See, they're not full of hate, that's all. They're not resentful. I heard a story, so this is like secondhand, but I think it makes a good point, so I can end this little video here, this long video. A man was sitting there, and he was feeling really down and so on, and his little granddaughter was playing. And there he was, all negative and hateful and angry and mean and all that kind of stuff, There he was, sitting there, and he was watching his little granddaughter. And he asked himself, he said, what is the difference between her and me? His little granddaughter was happy and full of life and bubbly. And he asked himself sincerely, what is the difference between her and me? And he realized what the answer was. The difference between her and him was that he was resentful. That was the difference. Okay? So hopefully this video maybe helped you to realize that resentment could be your problem too. So let go of it. Okay? My name is Roland.